Chapter 2.10, your last section, change expresses a percent. Today we wrap up the material of this chapter with a very straightforward process. In order to understand the process, we must first know how to create a percentage. If someone takes or makes 7 out of 11 shots, what percent did they shoot? 7 out of 11, remember that's the part, that's the whole. We simply put 7 over 11. You do the division. You get 0.636. which if you move that 2 spots means that would be 64%. Remember that 6 bumps the 3 up to the next number. If someone gets 13 out of 16 questions correct on a quiz, what percent grade did they earn? Again, that's the part, that's the whole. Make your fraction. Do your division. 0.812. Again, moving that over, it would just be 81% is what we would put unless they wanted a decimal. And in that case, you could put 81.2. But again, typically that's what we're looking at. Actually, you wouldn't put 81.2. We would do 81.3 because the 5 would move. If you're still having issues understanding the basic idea of creating a percentage using division, I wouldn't say this is used whenever I'm in class. Just make sure you email me and let me know you're having an issue with it so I can try to explain something to you and help you get it better. What's the most important part of finding the percent of change? Considering the fact it's called percent change, the most important part is determining how much the value has changed. Once you've identified that, you just divide it by the original amount. So the general formula, please copy this formula because that's what you're going to use today, is the amount of change over the original amount. Percent change can be a percent increase or a percent decrease, and that is determined by whether the new value is higher or lower. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? If I had a 85% in the class and I went from an 85 to an 87, that obviously is an increase. If I went from an 85 to an 82, if I originally was at an 85, that would be a decrease. So it is a part of your answer that you need to make sure you pay attention to. Just make sure you don't let the question itself leave you lazy and have you doing anything crazy, like not answering that portion correct. So the examples you're going to see are going to be word problems and just basic problems here. You purchased a car for $5,000. After fixing the car and adding upgrades, you were able to sell it for $6,285. What is a percent change? Is it an increase or a decrease? Once again, first thing you have to do is figure out how much it changed. And that is by doing 6285 minus 5,000, which should be 1,285. That is your change. But remember, we need change over original. So we would put 1285 over your original purchase was for $5,000. That is the part where people mess up, is they put it over the wrong number. You have to read the problem and say, this is what I bought it for. That's what I have to divide by. So 1285 divided by 5,000 is 0.257, which you could say is 28%. And if you sold it for that much, bought it for this much, sold it for that much, that would be an increase. Alright. Then you'll see some basic questions like this. Original amount, new amount. Again, first thing we need is the change. And so we'll do 134.7 minus 83.1, which is 51.6. Again, that's going to go on the top of the fraction because that's the amount of change. Remember, you divide it by the original. Again, the issue I see is people divide by that. It would divide by 134.7 to give me at least my decimal because it's already in there, which is 0.383. And because that leaves it there, that would be 38%. If I started out here and went to 83, that would be a decrease. And again, that's all it takes. Original amount 38, new amount 70. What is the change? The change amount should be, what, $32? Yeah, it is. I'll just make sure to verify. And then that means that's the amount of change on top of the fraction divided by the original, which again is that number. And then we do 32 divided by 38, which is 0.842, or 84%, because that 2 leaves it where it is. It even works in error. You approximate the weight of a dog to be 65 pounds. Take the dog to the doctor. Doctor says it actually weighs 71 pounds. What is your percent of error? First off, we called it change. Your first question would be, how far are we off? Well, we are off by 6 pounds. That means that's what goes on top. So which one do we divide by? We would divide it by what we care about, which is what the dog actually weighs. So you would divide by the 71, and then that would give you your percent error. So 0.084, which would be about 8%. Again, moving that 2 spots. 8% error. So again, not hard, just something you got to kind of practice and get used to. If you are a 5 weight, it means you are willing to fight. If you are not willing to fight, you might want to drop soon, because it's going to get interesting as you keep going further and further into this book. I've taught this class for 19 years, and I know that if you don't have a fighting spirit, and you have a spirit where you want things to be easy, and you don't like to miss problems and things, it's going to get tough. Just remember, your first job is to identify the amount of change or the amount of error. Also remember, we compare it to the original starting amount. In the end, be sure to begin looking for all your notes and materials so you can be ready to perform the test this week. Again, your pre-test goes up tomorrow. That'll give you a chance to kind of see what's going to be on it. Other than that, like I said, copy these things down. Answer the questions that are on the, or answer the question at the very end, and good luck.